They cannot. Fulanis cannot take over Igboland. They don't bond them well. That the lion is walking majestically is just flaunting of his royal majesty. Doesn't mean he's weak. The lion is the lion and is always the king of the jungle. Nobody takes Igboland. It belongs to Igbos. And we won't let anybody take it. Whether you come from the moon or whether you come from the stars, we don't care. So Fulanis cannot.
What happened to people? Why can't you arrest those that are killing our people? Why is it that ever since Ogolis has been killed, nobody, police have not made any arrests. There have been no arrests, nobody has been arrested. We should go on dialogue with our killers and we should go engage our killers. Why the people that killed us are living peacefully? And you know to go and engage. Sir, at this point, you're not being realistic.
Yes, I won't say more than that.
We have endured enough. Immediately, we demand the immediate, unconditional departure of all Fulani herdsmen from Ogoniland.
Yes,
That continual presence pose a grave threat to the peace and security of our people. Yes. Should this be ignored? Repeat. Should this be ignored?
No.
And I repeat again. Should this be ignored?
No.
We will be left with no choice. We would left with no option but to defend ourselves.
Yes.
It will be clearly stated. Any further attack on the lands of the Ogoni people will no longer be reported to the Nigerian police and the security agencies.
Yes.
The people of Ogoni will resort to self-help and self-defense.
Yes.
Fulanis has taken over the forest beds of the Igbos, posing a potential threat to their existentiality.
They cannot. Fulanis cannot take over Igboland. They don't bond them well. That the lion is walking majestically is just flaunting of his royal majesty. Doesn't mean he's weak. The lion is the lion and is always the king of the jungle. Nobody takes Igboland. It belongs to Igbos. And we won't let anybody take it. Whether you come from the moon or whether you come from the stars, we don't care. So Fulanis cannot.
So Igbos are the nations of lions.
Yes, we are lions. We are dead warriors. So you don't provoke us. And that's why we always want. You know, that's a war song. So you don't tamper us simply because we are peaceful people. We are peaceful because we are Jews. We are peaceful because we are Christians. You understand? But that doesn't mean we are weak. So for me, Fulani is not a threat. They are bragging because we have not decided to fight. When Instant Security Network was there, what could Fulanis do? So you see, I am not afraid of the Fulanis, herdsmen or whatever. Igboland belongs to us. East belongs to us entirely. And cannot be taken over by anybody from the Sahel.
The rising sun,
Yes.
the home of Chukwu Okike Abiam.
That's why sun rises from there every morning. You don't need to ask where is God living. Just watch out. Wherever sun rises from in the morning, that is his house. That's where he lives. He lives in the east. So we don't come there. Nothing dirty, nothing defiled will come there. It belongs to Chukwu Okike Abiama. That is his house. That's why I call it GRA, God's Reserved Area. Nobody tampers with it.
I've heard on several occasions that Igbos claiming that nobody can invade the communities of Igboland and Igbo, but definitely that seems not to be the case. Several communities have been rounded up, invaded. It doesn't matter the region or the angle they back on, but the reality today is happening before us. So what could the Igbo do? Perhaps they thought nobody could infect them, and they have not prepared for the wars, which Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has called them on several occasions. Come, protect your people. Otherwise, that battle you have avoided today will be taken to your communities, to your kinsmen, and they will have no place to call their own. Is that not happening? Is that not the true realities? staring at all assembly today. Who else could deny, of course, the reality on ground? But sadly to say that it's staring at us. Igbos are lions, Igbos are this and that. But when you keep your environment unguided, then the enemies definitely will invade. And by the time you know it, just as what is happening in Ihamofo and other suburbs, definitely will become the reality. When people have been deserted, communities have fled for their lives. While Mazen Andekano was addressing the Igbo World Congress in US, he said, "It's not me." They disparaged him. They treat with levity his instruction and directive. But today, we are at the World Igbo Congress. They have run agog on the ground. They have lost their voice, and nobody is speaking. Nobody is addressing the current realities today. And you call them Igbo World Congress, their own regions and communities, their own Alibo. Alana is under siege, is being taken over by aliens, by invaders who are coming to kill, steal, dislodge, and annihilate. Definitely, they will have no place to call their own. They might definitely become fugitives, regardless of wherever they are. Is that what they so much desire? Well, internal vigilance is the price for freedom. If you don't protect your people, if you're not conscious, deliberate, and precise in your moves, actions, definitely, I say, emengwangwa, emeghara ọdachi. Mana ọ bụrụ na ịjụ ime ngwa ngwa, the ọdachi might definitely cut you unawares or definitely swallow up the people. But then, it will be too late to ask. Ị na-emezi ka onye mmiri na-eri. Onye mmiri na-eri amahụ ihe chere ya n'ihu. You just be beating the waters without any direction or sense of cognizance. It's quite unfortunate, but that seems to be reality. Not until Emengwangwa, Emeghara we might have ourselves to blame. Well, it doesn't matter how long someone decides to live in denial, but the reality is that that is the only option left, resorting to self-help, self-preservation. If you want to preserve your cultural heritage and prosperity, your life as Nigeria is today, you must resort to self-help. And that is the only way, just as the DSS Director General have given his own position, his personal opinion regarding what is going on, that the people, communities should mobilize themselves and protect themselves. Otherwise, the fakes being extinct. Of course, they face the risk of extinction, and that is not just the way, just as the Ogoni people has given an ultimatum for the Fulani to vacate their communities, their farmlands, in order to preserve their own cultural heritage and life. They can no longer continue to watch their own people being killed, murdered, arrested, kidnapped, tortured, molested, raped, and the rest of them. So they have given the last warning. They have scored a political point, making it public that people should bear witness should any eventuality happens, that they are no longer willing to continue this deceptive engagement with the police or the security operatives who has not been proactive in bringing to justice those perpetrators of those heinous crimes who invade the Nigerian territory and claiming that these are foreigners, aliens coming to Nigeria to kill citizens, and yet the same government has no intention of going after them, arresting them, and bringing them to justice. Then what is the essence of government? The primary essence of government, as of the last time I checked, is to protect life and properties, to prioritize the welfare, the well-being, the security of her citizenry. But unfortunately, that is not the reality, or is far from being the reality as far as Nigeria is concerned. Several communities have been deserted. I mean, the indigenous people either killed or expelled and reoccupied, just as the Plateau governor have revealed There's over 67 or 64 communities have been sacked in Plateau State, renamed after the terrorists who invaded and reoccupied those communities. And yet nothing seems to have been done. Heaven did never fall. And the government seems not to be proactive in her action or decisive actions to combat terrorism. Perhaps could it be that the government is either handicapped or an accomplice to whatever is happening? Whatever be the case, the people have decided never again to leave their destiny in the hands of those who careless or who eventually might be part of the calamity befalling them. It's quite unfortunate. Then you do have to blame the people at this time when they have taken up to defend their inalienable right to life. And as citizens, definitely the right to self-determination, the right to self-defense is an inalienable right that cannot be usurped, not even by the government or any constituted authority. Then if the government saddled with such responsibility and its security operatives failed repeatedly to protect lives and properties, and to bring to justice the perpetrators of this heinous crime, do you have to hold the people accountable for defending their inalienable rights to life and, of course, to preservation of their cultural heritage? This cannot be allowed to happen. As it stands now, the people have decided to defend themselves, and there is nothing wrong. You could not at any time fault such decisions because there are evidences that are confirmations to the fact that they have been victimized. There are casualties. There are people who have been killed, kidnapped. Paying ransom has become the order of the day. Perhaps it is time for the government to review its security architecture and, if need be, integrate the people and form a synergy with the local communities to fight these invaders. They are not all powerful. They are not invisible. These are people who are humans who operate, of course, with robust strategy being sponsored by certain vested interests. So it is time to rise.
60 billion they couldn't generate enough kilowatts energy to make a popcorn.
Look at the government who criticized predecessors but failed to provide dividends of democracy. You can imagine that you cannot generate power at 60 kilowatt to roast corn. Now, what is the case? What is the situation? Now, you have been occupying the seat of power, and sadly, things have aggravated, have worsened under the watch of Ahmed Bola Tinubu. And reasons majority of Nigerians have welcomed the coalition forces. Of course, they dislodged Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Then beyond that, they would think that could be the solution, a lasting solution to the nagging issues starting Nigerians at faces. Nigerian indigenous communities risk being extinction. With the emergence of coalition parties, solve the problem? Of course, to a greater extent, no. What Nigerians need is to rediscover themselves and discuss the continued existence of Nigeria, the only way to preserve their cultural heritage, posterity, and of course, the living today. Otherwise, it's just a matter of time. The people will be taken out of their communities, their ancestral homes, and reoccupied. So the only solution to the problem of Nigeria today is the dismemberment of the country, disintegration. Let each region control their resources, manage their security, and address the local issues, problems, and differences peculiar to them. That is the only way to entrench peace, equity, and stability across the regions. Otherwise, these sentiments, the bigotry, will continue to be sustained beyond what is necessary. As we can observe now, there are insincerity, lack of commitment on the part of the security operatives they govern, and the governance, of course, to part to chart a pathway for reconciliation, for prosperity and unity in diversity. But that has been unity in destructive tendencies. That could not be allowed again as far as humanity is concerned, and the preservation of humanity is key and should be prioritized. That is just the case. Look at what is happening, and yet people are folding hands. The government, rather giving excuses, enough is enough, and having nothing to do about that. Just imagine the massacre in Benue State. Not even a single soul. A culprit was arrested. Not until after several weeks, the government, the Tinubu administration, has to visit that place and started asking, where are the culprits? What are the people that massacred, that destroyed this community, that wiped and annihilated, carried out this ethnic cleansing? In fact, that was when the security operatives, the police, have to react and went and nabbed one or two persons as culprits. You can imagine, you have been there, people have been killed, and the perpetrators of this heinous crime are not hunted down. Wow, what a fantastic experience. Very sadly, but that is the true reality of the Nigerian state today. Who should you blame then? These people, the security operatives, or the executives? Well, it is quite unfortunate. Whatever be the case, or whatever angle or dimension you might want to view that, the fact remains that the incapacity or incapability on the part of the security operatives, or perhaps for some underlying reasons, may have compromised and have sabotaged the security system in Nigeria. That is just what I could decipher from all that is happening, where eventually some persons prefer monetary inducement in order to cover up. This has become more or less a norm in this country. How long shall that continue? That is the nagging issues and questions staring at us. So you should not blame the Ogoni people should they decide to defend themselves, because it is an inalienable right. Sadly, when they resolve to do that, you will see the same security operatives flexing power, coming after the indigenous locals who decided that we don't want the killings of our siblings, of our relatives, of our kinsmen to continue. The same government, the same security operatives that have failed to provide security to their life and properties will come after them, hunting down the people, the locals. You begin to ask, what exactly is happening? Why the people are being rounded up, killed, invaded? You did nothing to stop that or to leave that at the board. But eventually, when the people realize that it is their right to defend themselves, that they have the right, that nobody has the right to take their life from them, you see yourself mastering courage, effort to deter the people, to silence the people, to arrest the people and prosecute them. On what basis? That they are bearing illegal arms. What about those who are moving about carrying more lethal weapons, using it to unleash assault on the masses, children's not being spared? And you begin to ask, what exactly is happening? Who is behind this? Are the security operatives conspiracy to this, an accomplice to this, that start acts? Well, of course, the truth could not be far from the reality. The Ogoni people have demonstrated their commitment and eagerness to defend the people, and perhaps that is the way to go for any community or society that want to preserve themselves.